Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by both Tom Esposito, a VP of Product Management, and Molly Cross, our Senior Product Manager here at Bonterra. So, buckle in, everyone, grab your water, grab your snacks, and buckle in for an hour of great content and an exciting launch here at Bonterra that we're very excited to share with you all. So, without further ado, Tom, I'll go ahead and pass it to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Really appreciate it. Very excited to be able to be here myself and with Molly to be able to highlight the newest product feature that we are providing across our Bonterra suite. From today, what I want to make sure that we can cover is everything related to Impact Hub. And I'm so excited to be able to again share what we've built with Impact Hub. You'll be able to hear from both me and Molly, and we're going to walk you through who we are. If you're new to Bonterra, I'll give a little bit deeper from what Ashley had just shared. I want to then be able to introduce Impact Hub and show you just how powerful it is and really the three main core areas that we're focusing on. One, making sure that you can better build reporting at the enterprise level, both that's reporting, visualizations, everything that you all need to be able to tell your story of impact. Second, making sure that for those organizations that want to or need to or are already trying to connect their stories of impact across their community, how Impact Hub makes that possible. And third, I know that there is some really amazing functionality that has been released in the world of being able to use natural language or AI within all kinds of functionality. And inside of Impact Hub, we are going to announce what we're calling Q Data Studio, the ability to speed your time to insight. And so looking ahead, I'm really excited with everything we're going to be able to show. And if I'm hoping that we'll be able to also save some time at the end where we can share with y'all where we're headed and answer some questions. So with that, if you are new to Bonterra, I want to make sure to highlight that it is our mission to make sure that we are unifying the social good ecosystem. You already heard Ashley mention all of the amazing products that we have brought together throughout the years, and we think about those as our best-in-class solutions to empower fundraisers, CSR leaders, and case managers to be able to drive lasting impact. And today, we are proud to say that our connected ecosystem serves more than 20,000 social good organizations. We support 25 million profiled supporters and help empower over 28 billion in annual giving. So we are really trying to do our part to connect the entire social good ecosystem from the boots on the ground, the casework, through your supporters, through the funders, and bringing this all together within a combined Bonterra network. And because of that incredible network that we are working to continue to grow, that we have set such an ambitious vision. So for Bonterra, our vision, well, we look back and we have seen the overall giving across the US stagnant at about 2% or 2.5% of GDP over the last 50 years. It is Bonterra's vision to grow that number to 3% by the year 2033. That means billions more flowing to the doers of good who are out there changing your communities for the better. We want to make sure that we are working to double the size of that giving pie and bring even more good across this overall ecosystem. And as we think about that, one of the main problems I know that we are all facing, or challenges that we're facing, is trying to get the right kind of information and evidence to our funders and to our supporters. We know that funders are demanding even more evidence of broader social change. We can see 94% are already expecting demonstrated community level outcomes. That means not just the participant gains. And we are already seeing how that can be a challenge with keeping up just your general monthly and quarterly reporting expectations. But we are also seeing reporting across collaborative service models becoming the more predominant approach as funders are increasingly looking to back multi-organization initiatives. So that challenge of not just making sure that you are able to tell your story of impact, being able to tell your story of impact at your own organization level, but also trying to find out how to connect that within a community so that way you can build those multi-organization initiatives that we know that so many funders are interested in being able to see. So that is why we are so excited to be able to introduce Impact Hub. This is the most powerful intuitive reporting engine that Apricot has ever had. Impact Hub is built on a brand new modern architecture, leveraging Amazon Quick Suite as our powerful analytics layer. And we have rebuilt and optimized the data layer and added the Q Data Studio so that way your analytics can go even further and faster using natural language. We're already seeing this work with our early beta users. We're hearing great feedback around how easy it is to get started, how much faster it is to be able to build brand new reports, and how much more beautiful, really, boards and reports can feel as you're starting to get engaged with this new reporting experience. Not only that, but we're seeing the performance really so much better within our early customer base that are starting to use it. We've seen reports that previously would have taken up to 2 hours running in our legacy tools, completing in under 2 minutes in Impact Hub. And we're hearing from our customers just the time savings that they're seeing, up to 75% improvement in how quick they are able to go from building reports and legacy tools to now building with inside of Impact Hub. So everything we're trying to do here is about bringing a more powerful reporting solution and making sure that that is fast and easy to work with, and hopefully making it look a little bit better along the way as well. So with that, we are very excited to be able to announce Impact Hub, and I will pass it over to Molly to be able to help show you some of what this looks like and what Impact Hub can do.
Great, thanks, Tom. All right, so I'd like to introduce you to our new dashboard and report building experience in Impact Hub. And I'll be using my demo site with some mock data today to show off some of the exciting things that we are able to do here, like presenting information visually to tell the story of our data and configuring dashboards to create an interactive experience, such as this map, which here shows the density of students, where we have customizable pop-ups that can provide details of the data for each zip code, or we can click to focus on a specific area within the map and look more closely. And if we need to see those numbers across zip codes more broadly, I'm able to export the data, or I can view all the data for the zip codes right here in the dashboards and compare one another and see where the majority of our students might reside. Let's take a closer look at this visual. This visual has been set up to show students by starting year, but I've also got flexibility here if I need to change that time period. And I can drill down to look at that same data by quarter, for example. Drilling down updates my calculated average for the period. I can hover to see the metrics, or I can actually change my view within the tile of the dashboard. This flexibility means that different viewers can answer different questions about my data in real time without needing additional analysis to be completed. As I scroll, you'll see some different options for visualization that can make trends and patterns easy to spot within the data, such as the chart here. This looks at my student outcome areas in relationship to whether or not students have completed credit recovery programs. I can use tooltips to look closely at the metrics, but if I want to understand which students are represented within this data, I've set this up in such a way that I can click on a value and filter the table below based upon what I've selected. This way, I can quickly know which students I might need to follow up with or where data might need to be updated. Let's open the table for a closer look. While this table contains some standard columns, users are also able to customize some of the information for the table like I'm doing here, hiding or sorting on certain elements, for example, for a specific view to their own dashboard, so that each user is able to find what they need from within a larger data table. This is where staff can look specifically at students and identify which participants or programs may need event intervention or additional support. It helps connect outcomes back to real people, not just the totals presented within the charts in the dashboard. And here as well, I'm able to take actions such as exporting this information to Excel or CSV for future reference. But if I need more information on a student now, I can also create a connection that will take me directly to their record in Apricot to view or edit their information from this table within itself. By now, you might be wondering, how do I create a dashboard like this? So I'm going to take you on over to the report builder space and show you around from that perspective. So I'm going to get started by showing you how we build one of those KPI tiles, those big information points at the top of our dashboard. These are tiles that look pretty simple, and you can actually pull them together pretty quickly by just pulling in the metric that you want to count, coming in, and changing the way that you're aggregating your data. No syntax necessary. Even for something more complex that's looking at change between different data points, I can come in, choose how I want to display the options within my tile, And then I'm able to make some selections on how I want to work within and display that data. For example, I can choose how I want to compare and update between a percent difference or just showing a percent between the different numbers that I have set up within my KPI tile. Something also is mapping that seems complex can be made simple within Impact Hub. Right now, we're showing our students by zip code, but I can easily come over and look for different geographic data within my data set. So I'm going to take my state data, let me grab that, and pull it on into my visual. I'm just going to go ahead, drag and drop, and you'll see that my map starts to update to change the layer at which I'm visualizing my data. There we go. So let's make that a little bit bigger. So now I'm able to see pretty quickly and easily the differences in the geographic areas which we're serving within our space. And let's see, let's just go ahead and actually update that title as well. I'm going to change it from my zip code. Take a second and just update that so we're showing our home state and align everything within it. Let's minimize, recenter my map a little bit. And there we go. I've changed from zip codes to states within a couple clicks of the button. I've got a word cloud over here, but if I'm not really crazy about a word cloud as an option, I'm able to choose from a wide selection of available ways to display my data, such as a pie chart instead. And from there, we can adjust how we're counting our response data and make other adjustments to what we want to display. So I'm now going to take a look where I can update the way I'm aggregating. I can change from a distinct count of records to counting all my records based upon the type of data that I'm working with here. Let's see, perhaps this is something I want to do differently. And maybe for the data I have today, I need a sum of those numbers to best display the metrics that I want to include on my dashboard. So certainly no shortage of ways to be able to come in and adjust or customize when building these reports. Finally, we'll take just a quick peek at, let me click back on over, that drill tile that I showed you before. With dates, it's really easy to be able to add a drill. We have a date that's included, and I'm able to just pop on over and change that aggregation as well. Again, no coding necessary to be able to extend the use of the data within my dashboard. So in sum, Impact Hub makes it easy to turn your data into interactive, customizable dashboards that answer real questions in real time and tell the story of the data that you have to share. Back over to you, Tom.
Oh, that is so amazing to be able to watch, Molly. I'm always impressed being able to see just how incredible it looks as you're able to show and highlight within Impact Hub. And so for those of you who are thinking about how great it would be to be able to start to build those impressive dashboards within your own organizations, that's where I'm excited for Impact Hub. But for those of you who also are thinking about not just within your organizations, but how do you start to tell the story across many different, whether it's different social good organizations or various programs that you are operating within your organization that need a bit more autonomy. We know that not only are social good organizations needing better reporting tools themselves, we are also seeing even more collaborative programs and service models. However, that challenge that we see is keeping the flexibility that the service delivery requires while making sure that that impact measurement has the standardization required to tell the combined story. So making sure that you can think about your individual programs as you need while still being able to combine that story, which is exactly where the magic of connecting Apricot with Impact Hub, leveraging the net new data standards, will let individual organizations map their individual programs into a connected data model, and hopefully being able to allow for a truly connecting reporting experience. So that way you can connect in everything that's happening again at the individual organization level, at the individual program level, leverage within Apricot those data standards and bring them into Impact Hub to truly give you the power to see change happen across an entire community like never before. So being able to work with your overall network and drive that change within your community. So without further ado, I will hand it back over to Molly, who will be able to help show exactly how you can build these connected reports with inside of Impact Hub.
Thank you again. We're hopping right back over to our dashboard. And the portion of the dashboard that we've looked at together so far today contained that data for a single organization, our mock education trust demo site. And we focused before on looking at the students served and activities provided by this organization alone. But I'm now going to shift over to take a look at our Student Health Services Network portion of our dashboard. There we go. And this tab is a bit different because it includes data from those multiple demo organizations that Tom mentioned. So these orgs are set up to represent service providers that are part of the Education Trust Student Health Network and all have their own Apricot. So while this portion of the data might not look different than the other tab on the surface, what we are seeing here actually represents all three partner organizations with data that has been standardized using data standards in Apricot and combined within a single data set for reporting within Impact Hub. This data set includes data from all of the orgs that they have shared back to the Education Trust about the services that they are providing. This type of connected reporting helps organizations like Education Trust to see the full story of the health services that are being provided by their partner orgs within a single space, instead of having to manage separate reports and data formats. All data contributed by partner organizations is consistent and it works together within this dashboard, reducing the manual effort for everyone involved. Here you can see how the data from those multiple providers rolls up into a single view and provides the leadership of our org a holistic picture of performance across the organization without having to stitch the data together to get there. It's an opportunity to understand, for example, where student health service coverage is available within this network and the types of referrals students need to support their care overall. We could also look at specific metrics on our larger organization-wide scale, and that makes it easier to prioritize our actions at an organizational level. This type of connected reporting makes it possible to also easily compare our outcomes across different providers. Because each organization is identified within the data, the Education Trust team is able to see what is consistent and what differs by our partners within our single dashboard space. Looking here at our Bright Path Student Services demo org, we can understand specifically what they're providing to students for services. Being able to see those similarities and differences in partner data is especially powerful for orgs who require reporting from multiple partners. Because that data drives the report is connected to Apricot, updates flow automatically from those partners, and teams can spend less time having to reconcile numbers across different formats from Excel to Apricot or other methods to share that information. This frees program staff capacity and allows them to focus on other areas such as direct service provision. Ultimately, connected reporting helps our organizations to align teams, reduce effort, and focus on improving outcome based upon the service needs organization-wide.
Amazing. Exactly. And so being able to see this now, granted, this is leveraging our own, demo data and being able to show off with some demo sites that we have put together. We're already seeing this start to be used with some of our early adopter customers who have been just showing amazing ability to not only, build beautiful reports inside of Impact Hub, but being able to connect across multiple organizations. No longer do organizations have to try to contend with either jamming everybody into one software tool where the configuration becomes far too complex, especially inside of the case management world, whether it's from the permissions or the program level, or having to contend with keeping everybody separate, but needing a complex IT department to build your own data warehouse and your own data solutions. Inside of Impact Hub, we make that simple just by being able to connect your organizations across a network, being able to make sure that you are sharing the right kind of data between each other, leveraging Apricot's new data standards, allow you inside of Impact Hub to build that combined reporting where we take on the heavy lifting of that warehousing and making sure that this is all connected securely. So this is one of those areas that I'm very excited to be able to see, organizations start to take advantage of, as they start to grow and connect their overall story within their community. Next, the area that I am also very excited about is as we talk about the future of where organizations can leverage AI and really excited to see what AI can do. But if you're like me, you're excited about AI, but only if it helps you with driving to get value faster. You don't just want AI for AI's sake. What you want to be able to leverage are tools that are truly going to help transform your workflow and transform your organization to speed your time to value and make sure that you are really getting what you need out of your solutions. That's where I would introduce Q Data Studio inside of Impact Hub. This is functionality that we are delivering to be able to connect securely your data with inside of Impact Hub and make sure that you can leverage the latest in natural language tooling to simply ask questions of your data. You get to ask the basic questions that you want to be able to, understand and learn about without needing to go through the complex, skill set of building these reports if you want to be able to leverage these tools. So you will be able to very easily be able to ask deep and robust questions about your data, and you'll be able to build visualizations or calculations simply by describing what you want. It is our goal within Impact Hub and Q Data Studio to empower anybody to get the data and insights they need without spending the hours that it would have previously taken to have to click and drag and build each of these reports. So without further ado, I know that you all are probably just as excited to be able to see what Q Data Studio can do. I will pass it back over to Molly to be able to show you all the power of Q Data Studio.
All right, let me show you what it looks like to ask some questions of our program data. So using our mock organization again here as an example, which offers both sports and academic activity programming, as the director of our mock organization, I'd like to understand more about who's participating or not in the activities that we have to offer. I don't have that included in one of my dashboards right now, but I'd really like to quickly get a sense of what's going on with these initiatives before my staff meeting later today so I can start planning outreach for our next semester. So I'm going to go ahead and do some exploration of our mock data using Q Data Studio to see what I can find out. Let me send off my question and see, okay, looks like the results that we're getting back are already starting to give me a summary of the most popular types of activities. Looking at the charts that are generated, I can see that it's starting to show me a count of those participants. And we are breaking it down by both my sports and my academic activities, which is really a great place to start. But I'm going to ask another question. I want to pull those things apart a little bit and kind of dig deeper into the differences between my sports and my academics. So I'm just going to ask that now and see what we get back. So we're thinking about it. We're thinking it through. Looks like we're creating some charts for me, which I'd love to see that working in the background as those things are being created. And pretty shortly, there we go. I've got a chart now that separates out my academics from my sports participants. And while it's really nice to start to see the count of this information, I think I'd like to know more again about who these students are. What's driving the numbers between this participation? So I'm going to go ahead and continue to ask some more questions. So we're going to start to take a look at seeing if we're able to start comparing some of those academic activities in particular and look at the participation across different types of students based upon the demographics I have within their data. Okay, so right away I can start to see or get some insights that females are participating more highly, right? And that math team is pretty popular. I also can see I have some differences between the different populations who are part of my student population. So that is really information that is really helpful for me to start to be able to see so that I can make changes within the programming that I offer within my fake director role at my education trust organization. But I actually would like to know a little bit more about who's not participating. So while the questions I've asked so far tell me who is, I want to be able to get a cleaner view on who isn't showing up to these things, because those are the students that I want to connect with in the coming semester. So let's see if we can ask another question to start to explore groups that aren't participating as much based upon the information I have. So let's see what we have to say about those low participation reach for targeted outreach. And great, so looking at that demographics based upon our activities, I'm able to, oh, that's a great little chart. I can pretty clearly see here which groups of my populations aren't engaged, where we might be underserving some of the student groups that make up our student body. And this really helps me to be able to identify with staff how we want to spend our time in the coming semester, whether changing programming or doing different types of outreach to reach these students. So now I'm actually going to pop back on over to that dashboard. Here we are again to show you how Q can help you to support building your visuals. This time I want to know a little bit more about my students' birthdays. So I'm going to ask our builder using Q to extract out just the month of the date of birth. Some great syntax that I didn't have to write. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to use it to build a little bit of a visual as well. So popping on over, I'm going to ask, let's see, we're going to create a visual that is going to look at the number of our students whose birthdays are within each month of that data that I just put together. So I'll go ahead and ask that visual. As soon as I get my typing finished here, look at my IDs by my birth month, and we're going to go ahead and build. So once my chart is generated, I'll add that to my analysis and maybe play around a little bit there. I don't love the lines, so let's see if we can update it to a pie chart. Convert to a pie chart. Okay, and that's a better view for me. I also want to know, though, when students are having their birthday. I like to send them birthday cards. So I'm going to do another thing. I want to come in and create a custom calculation that flags when we have recent or upcoming birthdays. So I've asked that question. I get my syntax back. I'm going to save that as a visual that I can now use. This time I want details. So I'm going to ask it to create a table, and I've prompted it to ask the table with IDs, first and last names, date of birth. I can then go back in again and start to use Q to edit that table. Let's see, let's add our additional columns. So I'm going to add in that birth month that I just created. And I would actually like to see those birthdays that are happening this month that I've just flagged at the top, so I can easily find those students within our population. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to sort. And sorted. There we go. Happy birthday to our January students. So with that visual created, I've made those adjustments. I am ready to go. In under 5 minutes, I'm going to send out some cards today.
Oh, that is so amazing. And I love again being able to see Molly just how you're able to demonstrate and highlight all of the new functionality. Now, I think many of y'all might be like me watching and just in awe of how quickly all of that happened, right? You can see that happening live of just being able to enter in the right kind of, just asking what you want of your data and seeing it come to life, whether that is in building full charts and visualizations or in helping you build some of the calculations or visuals within your overall dashboard. Just think about how much faster your reporting can happen on your monthly, quarterly schedule, or even just to be able to better provide your operational reporting within your own organization. So again, I am so very excited about everything that Impact Hub is bringing into the world of social good. First, starting within Apricot, making sure that Apricot customers have a more powerful reporting tool at their fingertips that will allow them to really deliver the reporting that they need to keep up with real world demands. So that's why we are so excited again to introduce Impact Hub to the world, which is now, as of today, live and available. And again, it is so impressive, everything that we saw Molly walk us through, from simplified grant and funder reporting, making it so simple and easy to go through and build each of those complex reports that might have been even more challenging in legacy reporting tools, how much faster they can be built inside of Impact Hub, and making sure that not only can this help with your individual organization reporting, but as you think about what can happen across a network, across a community, or across a funding source, building those network-wide impact dashboards where we can connect for you your ability to show change within a community. And of course, Q Data Studio. So cool to be able to see the ability to just use natural language to be able to, really speak to the system, be able to get, really the insights and data that you need, and truly level the playing field for your organization to go out and get some of that data that y'all would love to be able to learn from what you've already been collecting within your system. So with that, I think that the next area that I'm sure that you all are asking is, how do you get access? So Impact Hub, again, as of today, we are newly released and available to all of the Apricot tiers. We are making sure that Impact Hub is already included within the existing bundles, where Apricot Enterprise customers are going to get immediate access to some of those Q Data Studio features. But don't worry, Pro customers, if you're interested, this is an area where you can absolutely reach out and talk to some of the Bonterra support staff and understand what may be possible as well. But we are so excited again to make sure that Impact Hub is made available to our Apricot customers, giving them the newest, most powerful reporting tool that they now have access to at their fingertips. And as we look ahead, don't worry, we are absolutely continuing to build towards the future. We want to make sure that as Impact Hub is now live, that all organizations can start to explore and learn and build within it. We are also working to identify even more areas to build that connectivity for Impact Hub. We see Impact Hub as the central connected reporting platform across Bonterra. We are releasing it first within Apricot. We absolutely want to see more of that integration happen across Bonterra's ecosystem of solutions. That way we can better connect really your world of reporting, whether you are leveraging Apricot and another Bonterra product, so that way you can build those combined reports that we know that you all need to better show your operational abilities and skills that are happening visually within these dashboards. Also, making sure that we can bring in more data, both from our products and industry sources, so that way you can build, whether those are benchmarks or other of your dashboards that you really want to be able to see, combining your data across multiple sources. And of course, don't worry, we are absolutely going to be continuing to focus on innovation from within Impact Hub and the technology that powers Impact Hub. So very excited, not just about what we're releasing, but where we're seeing the future of Impact Hub go. So with that, I think that we are ready to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, awesome. Tom, Molly, thank you so much. This is so exciting. This is an exciting week for Bonterra, an exciting day here. And I'm sure folks on the line are looking forward to kind of digging more into not only Bonterra Q, but Impact Hub and seeing how it might help their organization. And with that, folks, like Tom mentioned, if you are interested and you want to kind of learn more, or if you have some questions on some of the things that you saw today, I am going to go ahead and launch a quick poll here. Again, feel free to fill that out. And then once we wrap up this afternoon, we'll have one of our colleagues reach out to you to initiate those conversations and maybe answer some of the questions that you all might have. But while folks are filling that out, we can go ahead and transition into Q&A. There are a lot of good questions we have here. I will start off from the top here. One of the first questions we received, which I think later got answered, but we'll still address is Impact Hub part of Apricot or is it a new product altogether?
Yeah. That is a very good question. Impact Hub is a net new reporting tool that absolutely is coming bundled within the Apricot bundles, and you can connect your Apricot to Impact Hub. You can connect your Apricot instance. You can connect to your sandbox. You can make sure that Apricot is connected into Impact Hub. However, I do see the future of Impact Hub being able to connect across Bonterra products. So you can think about Impact Hub, yes, as being part of Apricot today, but really being a net new reporting tool that will be, accessible across Bonterra in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for giving that clarification for folks. Something that I know was kind of lightly discussed here is the author seat and reader seat. I'd love to know what your insight is for like who should get an author seat versus who should get a reader seat.
Yeah, very good question. I know that we've got those various tiers of seats that we mentioned. And what I would really say is that if you are somebody who is going to be building dashboards or building reports, you need an author seat. Readers are, those individuals who are really going to be consuming those dashboards, right? So I think a common approach would be to say maybe your organization might need just a couple of authors per team and expect really more broader reader access within your organization.
Right, right. And following up to that, someone asked a really good question. Can readers edit the dashboards or do they not have that ability?
Unfortunately, readers cannot edit dashboards. Molly, I'll let you chime in a little bit here as well. What authors can do is they can allow for some filtering on dashboards, but however, readers will not be able to go into the builder space. It's really just about viewing and consuming the dashboards. I don't know, Molly, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, that's correct, Tom. I would say the one way that as an author you can set up those dashboards to be more extendable is one of those things we demoed today, which is actually if I have a table, I can allow my readers to come in, sort of customize the columns, right, or interact with the data that might be within the data table that I've set up. But a reader wouldn't be able to build that from the ground up. It's really the authors who are going to curate that experience and provide that level of interactivity back to their readers.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Molly, for adding that additional color here.
Sure.
We've got a couple of good questions here on Q, just kind of all around Q. I see some repeat ones. So one of the first ones I see here is really, I guess, a better understanding of like what is Q Data Studio in Impact Hub. Do you mind sharing a little bit more on that?
Yes, absolutely. So I think Molly did a really great job of being able to demo. And I know, we mentioned a lot about Q Data Studio. It's really that AI assisted experience inside of Impact Hub. The goal is to be able to help you really explore your data using conversation, using natural language, being able to ask regular questions of your data, while also, being able to leverage it for building visuals faster and being able to build those calculations, really not needing to be a report expert. I know in Molly's demo, it happens so fast because it's so impressive to be able to see when building some of those calculations, just how it's able to really write the logic there. You don't have to be somebody who understands or knows that logic. So I like to think about Q Data Studio Impact Hub really as just kind of my data analyst assistant inside of Impact Hub that really helps me get things done when maybe I, haven't really built that kind of calculation before or new to the tool. So that's why I like to think about Q Data Studio.
Yeah, and so
Right.
many areas we could also explore with that too. I know one thing we didn't even jump into in the demo, but I don't know if you noticed on the screen there is that it was suggesting, hey, do you want to look at this by sort of how we're doing in our academics as well? So it really gives you thoughts to how you can even extend the questions you're asking of your data as you're getting that information back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, Tom, thinking of Q as kind of like an assistant, someone had a question on whether or not Q can create some of those dashboards for them. Is that something that Q can do?
Yeah, so you probably saw it a bit in Molly's demo as well, which is where I like to leverage Q. And what Molly had shown is being able to build some of the visualizations kind of piece by piece, right? You can start to build each of the individual components of your dashboard, and make sure that you are always kind of the one who's leading the charge. You're the one who's sort of orchestrating what your dashboard needs to look like, but being able to leverage Q to help build and shape those individual parts to help make that faster. So, I do like to think about, Q again as that, really smart, intelligent, fast builder that you as an author can go in and help leverage to, kind of build the overall dashboard experience. I don't know, Molly, anything that you want to touch?
It's like my pocket analyst. I'm going to bounce some questions and see what I can get back to build a bigger, better dashboard.
Love a pocket analyst. A follow-up question we have to that, and kind of going back to the readers versus authors, is there any differentiation in like who can use the Q Data Studio? Is it just readers or is it just authors or both?
Yeah. So I think that the experience that you saw of being able to build those calculations and the individual visuals, those are happening in that builder experience that requires an author, and that requires the author AI user seat that you need to make sure that you've got that capability to have access into that functionality, and that will allow you as an author to be able to leverage Q for that building experience. However, we do want to make sure that readers can also have some of the AI functionality of just being able to ask simple questions of the data. So that's where you might be able to leverage the reader AI seat that can also be able to just, instead of building, to just ask simple questions of the dashboards that they already have access to.
Right, right. Okay, that makes sense. And then, well, I guess another follow-up question to that would be then is Q replacing the report builders or analyst, or is it just more of like that assistant, the pocket assistant, like Molly said?
Yes, I think of that pocket assistant. I think it's hopefully being able to help empower and help us or as organizations be able to better build all of the reports and dashboards that we all need. My hope is that I think about, Q as kind of that superpower that can help, whether you are somebody who is an experienced report builder or analyst, be able to build these dashboards faster and easier, and get even more out of your dashboards. Or even if you are somebody who does not have a background in report building or as an analyst, being able to just empower you to ask some of those questions that maybe you didn't know that you could previously. So yeah, again, I see Q Data Studio really being that additional superpower that helps to supercharge each person within an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see that, and I love that that capability is now something that folks have access to, and I think I'm excited to see how they use it, and ultimately, of course, how it can help some of these organizations. But we have just two more questions here, folks. If you have any additional ones, feel free to drop them into the Q&A, like I mentioned. The first question here as well being that this person is asking, when building the reports, do they still have the option to edit or change the syntax of the report and some of the questions in the report so that they can troubleshoot and just ensure accuracy within those reports?
And Molly, if you want to take that one. Oh, I think Molly froze for just a second there. Yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
wasn't
I don't know
sure if it was me. I think it was. I went frozen there for a second. I was going to
Just
hop
a
in
bit.
and say, I think that's a great question. Can you hear me? Am I caught up?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
we got you
good.
now.
I'm back. I'm back online. So when you're building a report, the data is going to be returned to you in a data set that has the forms and the fields from those forms that you've chosen to include from your Apricot instance. And with that, once you have them within that builder space, yeah, you're able to pull in the results from that data and look at them and create counts from that. So if you want to dig down into your data and look at individual measures, yes, you can work in more of like an Excel style setting to be able to see what numbers are really within your data. So I think I showed a little bit of that with some of the AI assistants of coming in and using syntax to build some more custom calculations. You can certainly take that and extend it into a spreadsheet to be able to really verify what you're counting and what you're working with within the builder space as it stands today.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly, for answering that question here. And we have one last one that seems to come in, and then again, I'll give folks a couple seconds to drop any more. But this question is asked by Amanda, and I think Amanda's question is a little specific to their organization, but I'll just ask more from like a general perspective on whether or not organizations would be able to possibly bring in existing reports into the Impact Hub, and how, if that's a functionality that they have, if so, how would they explore that, and if that might be coming later on.
I got it. So, yeah, Amanda, I think that's a great question. I think that's something that we probably want to explore a little bit deeper just to know your individual use cases. What I will say is that, for organizations that are wanting to bring reports into Impact Hub, you absolutely, can bring the data you're already leveraging within other reports into Impact Hub, and then start to build those visualizations using the new powerful and, really great looking visualization tools within Impact Hub. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answered the question directly, but I'd love to be able to, maybe chat, further just to understand, how you would, what your reports look like and how you may look to bring them inside of Impact Hub.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Tom. Yes, Amanda, we're happy to connect offline and kind of further dig into your specific use case and how we can help assist in that. But in the meantime, it doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in. So, Tom, Molly, again, thank you so much for your work and your time on this presentation. Again, very exciting day and week for Bonterra. And I'm very excited to see the growth and the launch of Impact Hub and see how it continues to flourish. And folks on the line, thank you. Thank you so much for taking 45 minutes out of your day to connect with us and sit with us and be with us here. And thank you for your insightful questions into the Q&A. It always adds for a great session and always is able to add some more color to the conversation. So it's always appreciated. But with that, if there aren't any other additional questions, we'll give you all the next 15 minutes back of your day. But again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Molly, Tom, again, thank you so much. And everyone, we hope to see you at our next session, and be on the lookout for the recording recording of this, which we'll get out to you in the next couple of days here.
Awesome. Thank you,
Awesome.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.